Yo, what is going on, guys? It's PC Gaming Guide. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. And as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be showing you 5 tips I think are essential for anyone who's thinking about getting into PC building. And 2019 brings us a very exciting and kind of scary PC building year. And this is because we're just kind of recovering from a GPU price inflation from mining, cryptocurrency mining that we've never seen before. So I'm glad everything is coming to an end. And without further ado, let's get into the very first tip, and that is your budget. And this is arguably one of the most important parts when it comes to planning your build. Before you do anything, make sure you set an amount you're willing to spend on your computer, whether it's $200 or $5,000. It is very important to know how much you're going to be spending on this, because on one hand, you could find yourself spending a lot, and I mean a lot more than you expected going into builds. And the other way could be you could kind of not get the PC you were really wanting, and you kind of cheap out on a few things, and it doesn't go together the way you saw it out to be. So please make sure you set a budget, and that doesn't have to be an exact amount. It could be between $200, $300 kind of area. Just make sure you have a budget. This makes everything easier, and I mean everything. If you know what you're going to be spending, you know how much to budget for a GPU, you know how to budget for a CPU, which arguably are the two very most important and most expensive parts when building a PC. And I would argue that the GPU is the most important part of a gaming PC, and with such high prices now, you need to really make sure your budget is set around your GPU, because you could spend anywhere from $100 to $1,500 to $2,000 for GPUs. So please just make sure you have a budget, do your research, how much things are going to cost, and just kind of price the whole thing out. And with that being said, it'll bring us right into tip number 2, and that is compatibility. And when I built my very first PC, I didn't have any troubles with compatibility, but I do remember having to be very careful when buying parts, especially used parts. So with that being said, you're going to want to make sure your RAM matches your motherboard, your CPU matches the socket on your motherboard, the RAM, literally everything on the PC needs to be compatible. And as scary as that sounds, it's not that hard to do. There's a great website, I'm pretty sure it's called PC Part Picker. I will leave a link to that down below, which is a great tool. I can't recommend it enough for anyone new to make sure that everything is compatible. Once you know what you're building, just search the parts in there and it'll tell you if it's compatible. And if not, it'll tell you if it's not compatible, which is not a good thing. Do not buy anything that is not compatible, because I promise you it will not work, and it will be the biggest headache ever. You will not find PC gaming fun, or PC building fun, if you've bought a bunch of uncompatible parts. And I can't stress this enough. It's very important to make sure that everything will work together. GPUs, not that important compatibility wise. Most every GPU usually works with most every motherboard, but the things to watch out for are RAM, your motherboard, which is kind of the main thing that everything else needs to be compatible with, and your CPU, obviously your power supply. You're going to need enough power to power your GPU, your CPU, your fans. So just please make sure everything is compatible, and that starts with the motherboard, because that'll tell you what kind of RAM you need, what kind of CPU you need, etc. And once again, PC Part Picker is going to be down below. You can use that. It is a great tool to make sure all your parts are compatible. I assume you guys are starting to see a trend with these tips, that everything is kind of intertwinable with each other, and It's kind of like a PC. All these tips need to work together for the whole build to come together nicely. And that brings us to tip number 3, which is what can you buy used, or what you should or shouldn't buy used. And with that being said, if your budget is low, I would suggest buying mostly everything used except for your hard drive and your SSD. And I mean, if you have a low budget, I wouldn't even bother with an SSD at this point. But if you have a high budget and you want everything new, then I would highly suggest buying absolutely everything new. And then there's somewhere in the middle where you're going to buy most things new, some things not. It's totally up to you. But the most important thing that I want you to know to buy new is a hard drive. You can't trust hard drives. They fail a lot, and it's just not going to be great if you're going to be buying lots of used hard drives. I mean, you're probably going to be fine, but I would suggest you buying a brand new hard drive, and if you have the money, buying a brand new SSD. And the other things that you probably should, if you have a high enough budget to buy new, is your power supply. It's very important. It powers everything, and you don't want it going because that could be nasty. And some of the things that I would really highly suggest buying used are cases. I mean, cases don't really, if something goes wrong with a case, it's not a big deal. So I mean, go all out. You can buy used cases. You'll save a lot of money. You can buy used CPUs. Just make sure you check the pins on the bottom. A lot of times used CPUs will be bent. The pins on the bottom will be bent, and that's its own little headache. So just make sure you stick to that budget. If you need to buy things used, buy things used. And if you need to buy and if you want to buy things new, buy them new. And coming in at tip number 4 is more like a question you need to ask yourself before you start building. And that is, what type of gaming are you into? Are you into high CPU usage gaming? Are you into very intensive GPU usage gaming? And are you into 4K gaming? Are you okay with 1080p gaming at 60 FPS? These are all questions you need to ask yourself, because this is where the components in your PC are going to dictate what you're going to be able to do. And honestly, GPU wise, I would suggest anyone starting out, not really knowing what they want to play, get a 1050 Ti. That was my very first card, and I cannot recommend it enough. It was a great card. It was a great price. You're not going to be running ultra settings. You're not going to get 4K, but you will get 60 FPS on most new games at medium to high settings, which is still very gorgeous if you're used to using a console. And to answer the question of what parts you need for what type of gaming, honestly, just do your research. Just do a quick search on Google, and I'm sure there is many Reddit posts on every single game and what you will need. And everybody in the PC gaming community is very welcome. They'll welcome you with open arms. They'll tell you what you need for what kind of gaming you need to do. And I actually have a website called PCGamingGuide.com. What do you know? It's the same as my YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to that down below if you guys have any questions. I put a lot of articles on there on pretty much anything that has to do with PC gaming. So go check that out. That means a lot to me. But let's get back to the point, is just do your research. Make sure you know what you're getting into. Make sure you know what you need. And honestly, that'll make everything just very smooth. And coming in at our number 5 tip, last but not least, this is just a little money saving tip from me to you. We'll just get right to the point. Windows is not a cheap program. It's about $100 extra on your budget that could go towards GPU. And you can probably see in the bottom right of my screen, it says activate Windows. Go to settings to activate Windows. You can actually get a very good working version of Windows for free directly from the Windows website. I will leave a link to it down below. You don't need an activation key. It is completely free. It's unlimited time. There's just a few downfalls with settings. You can't customize your background. There's a couple other things that I don't really know about that could probably just kind of, your overall experience with a PC might not be as good, but it has no effect on gaming. And honestly, if you don't have the money right now, please just get free Windows. Everyone gets mad at me for having free Windows, but it's like, yeah, I saved $100. I put $100 towards my new GPU. And if you do have the money and you're really not enjoying the free version of Windows 10, then I would highly suggest paying for Windows 10, because it is great. I guess if you have the money, it's great. If you don't bother buying it. And honestly, don't pay for the cheap exploited $20 Windows keys. I mean, you can. I don't trust them. I wouldn't recommend using them to anyone. If you don't have the money, I recommend just getting the free version. It's great. I have no complaints so far. It has no effect on my gaming. I have no need for that, so I don't see the need for me to spend an extra $100. So once again, I'll just leave that link down below. I'd like to thank you guys for taking your time out of your day to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope some of these tips help you along your journey. I hope you build the best PC. I hope you build your dream PC and you get every game you've ever wanted to game on it, because PC gaming is truly great. I guarantee you will have a lot of fun building your PCs. I guarantee you will learn a lot building your PCs. And with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe. It means a lot, and I hope to see you guys later.